I hope you got to meet somebody new. That's my goal. Meet a couple of people new tonight. I would love to introduce you to someone. I'm going to introduce you to lots of people tonight. This person, she's actually like the star of the show. I mean, I'm just going to tell you. So this individual has the ability to make joy wherever she steps into a room. She also, anything that she touch, it turns to beauty just like that. When I walked in through these doors about 3 years ago, like very close on 3 years ago, there was somebody behind the desk there, and she had this amazing flowing dress and this smile that was like magical. And the moment I saw it, it was like, whoa, like it just went right through me. And I was like, this gal's amazing. And she was like, oh, let me give you a hug. And I was like, oh, I feel so awkward. Like this just feels so awkward, you know? And anyway, she is the co-founder of Awaken Magazine and the owner of Behind the Lids Healing Collective. And will you give a warm welcome to Mandy Adams?
Thank you. Wow.
I left out the part that we're life partners now. Yeah, I left that part. Yeah.
That was a lot of pressure. I bring joy into every room.
You do. Do you feel it? I feel it. So, Mandy, tell us about...
That's so embarrassing.
What?
That just was a lot to live up to. Okay. He likes me, obviously. Yeah.
So tell us about Behind the Lids and what happens here.
Oh, okay. So this is a beautiful Healing Collective studio. This is a place that was created for people to come and heal and connect and be in a loving community. We all deal with so much in our lives all the time, and that never stops, right? There's always something to process. There's always something to be healed. People need community. I know it keeps me out of the bars being here. It's a totally different vibe. But we do breath work, guided meditation, sound baths. Billy over here does sound baths with us. We also do trainings for people that want to become facilitators. If you wanted to lead breath work or sound healing or mediumship or psychic development, we've got all sorts of different things. So it's a place to come and heal and find your tribe, be with like-minded people, and grow, become aware. So
love that. And so, yes. And in your swag bag, and you don't need to grab it now, but just so you know, there's a piece of paper inside there that has the bios of all the speakers tonight with their Instagram and website and all that. On the back of that paper is some information about Behind the Lids. There's classes almost every night of the week. There's an incredible breathwork class that happens on Wednesday nights at 6 o'clock, led by this guy named Dave Trotter, just so you know. And also on Thursday night, 7 o'clock with Mandy, that you're going to get lots of joy there.
Yeah.
So anyway, Mandy, thank you.
Breathwork, joy through breathwork.
Thanks for letting us be here.
Yes, thank you all for being here.
Cool.
I'll hug you on the way out if you didn't get a hug yet.
So this evening, one of the things that I wanted to help us do as we begin these conversations is to settle our minds and hearts, because we're all coming in here like we've had all sorts of stuff. Like we're at Yoga Expo tomorrow. We got a booth there, and I was up in Pasadena setting that up this morning. So honestly, like this is just for me to do this little moment of meditation. And I have invited Billy Pinkerton. Billy, you want to raise your hand, say hello? Here, let me grab you the mic here. Is it okay if the mic goes in front of this? We'll see if the mic goes in front. Maybe he should use that mic. Okay, we're nervous about some feedback there. So Billy is going to lead us. Billy is a sound healer. He's also the founder of Deep Space Yoga. He has his own yoga, online yoga platform on his website. That information is in the flyer that's in your bag as well. So Billy, will you help us settle our minds and hearts here for a few minutes?
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody, for being here. All right. Is it coming through? You hear me all right? Perfect. Well, it's always a special opportunity to share these moments in community with each other and to do this kind of work, because it's a real chance for us to connect to ourselves and really understand ourselves in a deeper way, in a way that's maybe a bit more peaceful and a bit more still. So I have found to love these instruments. I've been playing them for many years now, and it's just a special opportunity to share this with you. So thank you guys so much for being here. Now, if you're willing to, let's just take a moment to sit up nice and tall. If you'd like to close the eyes or relax your gaze. Let's take an exhale breath. An inhale through the nose into the belly, all the way up to the chest. And an open mouth exhale. Start to center yourself on the breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Good. One more full breath in. Smooth exhale. Now just keep this breath flowing in and out through the nose, nice and easy. And start to notice the transitions in the breath. As you get to the top of the inhale, there's a pause. And then the exhale comes. At the bottom of the exhale, there's a moment of stillness. So as you breathe into the belly, up to the heart, see if you can notice these moments of stillness, these moments of openness. Breath is such a powerful way to center ourselves, to bring ourselves into the present moment so that we can receive what we're meant to. For the next couple minutes, continue to relax into the breath. Just listen to these different sounds that you hear. See what comes up, see what arises. Taking a step back, just observing. If you catch the mind thinking about something, bring it back to the breath. Feel the breath in your body. Notice those moments of stillness at the top and at the bottom of the breath. Take a little deeper breath into the belly, all the way up to the heart. Full exhale. Get to blink the eyes open. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Billy. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, you feel okay? Is it good? Yeah. Billy's amazing. Well, tonight, our first guest that we will be in conversation with is a multi-dimensional spiritual guide. And she has the ability to listen to your energy and then receive and translate messages from a higher dimension. And so I'm so excited for you to get to know her and hear from her. And I will tell you ahead of time that we would love for a volunteer to have a little mini session with her up front. All right. And, we'll have you ask a question that's not a yes or no question, and we'll see how things unfold. Sound okay? All right. So will you give a warm welcome to Mary Buckingham?
Hello, hello.
Good to be with you.
Everybody.
Yeah. All right. So, Mary, I want to hear a little bit about your backstory. I want to hear about your awakening to consciousness, mindfulness, spirituality. Did you grow up in a home where faith was a part of that, or spirituality was a part of your home, or did that kind of unfold later in life?
I was always very sensitive, very empathic, very open to the other side, especially as a young child. Um, but then you kind of get inundated with the programs, the trauma, all the stuff in this third dimensional plane that can create these veils over your true perception. And later, I would say in about 2017, I had a pretty big spontaneous Kundalini experience, where I didn't know at the time that's what was occurring, but it was like my soul came back awake and basically was like, "Clock's up, like I'm taking over," my higher self. And that meant that everything that was a lot of the unconscious energy, the shadow energy came, into my face, and I had no choice but to face that and integrate that. And it's still a day-to-day process, of basically, I feel life is like a big giant soul retrieval, a retrieval of these higher dimensional aspects of ourself. So yeah.
So 2017, you had this experience.
Mhm.
At what point did you start to recognize, oh, I have these intuitive gifts that I might want to use to serve other people?
Mhm. I think I always felt very called to help people and be there for people. It was something that felt natural to me, but when it came to this other level of guidance, I guess you could say, of my own personal experience, because everything that I talk about or do or teach is from direct inner experience. It wasn't learned from books or the external. My life had to go back inside, and I learned directly from all of these things that started um, coming into my awareness, and what felt like massive quantum downloads of information. So some people call it the Akashic Records. I didn't know that's what I was downloading at the time. I called it the Universal Library. I started to have a bunch of different ways of seeing things that went beyond the average, like psychic. There's different levels of clairvoyance. There's different levels of clairaudience. And what I mean by levels is like, you have a certain level of clairvoyance that can maybe see holographic shapes. It can see sacred geometry. Then there's also mental clairvoyance or astral clairvoyance. So with mental clairvoyance, it's like seeing thought forms. So when I was experiencing it, it felt like more so a bifurcation. So I'm in this third dimensional body, and yet I'm perceiving these other dimensions. And so when it's happening, it doesn't feel, it's jarring. And so it's like, am I losing my mind? Like, this is, how do I know all this information? Whatever. So I sought out great teachers to basically get help. I wasn't looking to teach or heal or whatever, and I don't even use those words, you know? It's just, I think a lot of it is about sharing my personal experience, and even just through that, maybe people resonate with it, maybe some don't, and that's totally fine. Those who do resonate with it, that's great, because then, um, it can create activation within others too. Like if there's a point of clarity that I reached within from certain ways of perceiving these things, maybe someone else who's tapping into um, that same resonance field, then they can have someone, then they kind of get a spark of, okay, that might be what I'm tapping into.
Mm-hmm. So you do, obviously now you do a lot of one-on-one sessions.
Mhm.
That's the primary way that you serve people, whether it
Mhm.
be a Zoom or in person.
Mhm.
What is happening in you when you begin that session? Like, describe to us what's happening internally and then what happens through you with the other person.
Mhm. So usually, the eyes are the windows to our soul, and um, it only takes, a couple seconds to look into someone's eyes and feel the soul. And I'm not like, don't worry if I look at you, I'm not reading your soul, but I had to understand as well, like, why am when I'm looking into people's eyes, I'm seeing so much, like whether it's imagery or thought forms or it it came down to me understanding that our eyes emit biophotons and they interact with our electromagnetic field. And so what people are transmitting through their eyes is frequency. And when I am listening or seeing things, it's all frequency. And I didn't, again, at the time, I wasn't, connecting with certain things by name or specific. It was a different spectrum of frequency that I was tuning into. And so it came down to translating that through my human self, what the frequency was that I'm tuning into, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So tonight we've talked about what would it look like to have a little bit of a experience with someone
Mm-hmm.
here. All right. And so you are open to that. Is there someone who was kind of raising their hand that you feel drawn to that you would want to have a little mini session with? Do you want me to pick or do you want to pick?
Maybe if you guys can, I won't look, but if you guys raise your hands, I'll close my eyes. And then I at first told him that I would like you guys to ask a question, but I actually normally just listen. So before saying anything, just come up and we'll sit in silence together and I'll just listen to what your human energy field might be communicating. So let me see here. Definitely feels like there's a lot of energy over here, but are we trying to just get one person?
Yes.
Okay. With the stars, yeah.
Okay. Great. Come on up. Yeah. What's your name?
Ronica?
Veronica?
Ronica with an R.
Ronica. Ronica. Okay,
Okay.
Ronica, would you mind sitting here? Yeah. And
Is
so,
there-
Ronica, I'm going to give you the mic.
Okay, so before we begin, we're just gonna connect. So when I do this live, I actually talk through the process so that everybody can kind of know what's going on. Okay. So Divine Heart Triangle meditation, it's connecting our hearts together. And then the point at the top, connecting our triangle, is at source center. And we'll just drop our shoulders. We'll just take a breath in. So usually when I see the human energy field, anybody's, I'll see their sphere, seeing her sphere. I'm seeing sort of a sphere that looks like, those bubbles that kids blow out of those things. They're giant bubbles and they kind of move. That's what I'm seeing between the heart energy center and the throat center. This could be just nerves, because the energy is of your breath is in that area. Let me see here. So as you can imagine that too in your mind's eye, opening up to more of a coherent sphere. When we get, stressed or we have a bunch of eyes on us, it comes into a more dissonant. Yeah, it's totally fine. The other thing too is in front of groups. I'll share this. Um, People have these things come out of their thinking center that look like telescopic pointers. Do you guys know what those are? Where you pull it out long or you make it shorter. So as I'm sitting here, all of your guys' telescopic thinking rods are up here. So it's awesome. But it's interesting with that too, because that's like the pointed frequency of directing your thought, directing your attention, directing your listening, your reception, and or maybe judgment. Like, what is this chick talking about? Is she really like, whatever? Okay. Throat center. Heart center, higher heart center, like we were talking about in the beginning, but in the throat center with speaking, expressing, making decisions, asserting yourself, is something you're aware of. Possibly I'll check in with you too in a couple seconds. That is to be embodied so that you can um, allow yourself to be in the room and for others to not, cross your boundaries or walk all over you or take advantage. Caretaker. I'm sensing as well, usually when I'm listening, people's either paternal ancestry or maternal, you know, and so what that means is your mother's mother. So I'm a medium too, but I don't say that first and foremost. It's just part of the toolkit. Mother's mother. And the same is here, is what that means. And she's on your right side of your aura. So let's see. It's interesting because she's the one that's really communicating a little bit of the throat chakra stuff with regard to speaking up, because it went on with her, skipped a generation and went to you, and your awareness is upon it. So let me check in with you just to see how this is all lining up, what's resonant. And then usually I have a longer time with people, so we'd have a little bit more time. But if you have a question that came up with any of that information, if your soul resonated with one piece more than the other, we can move forward with that. Or if you have something completely unrelated, you can ask about that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely working on opening my throat chakra and speaking my truth, trusting myself, and learning, opening my own intuition and gifts, and learning what's, I guess, trusting what I'm thinking, that I'm making up things, or trying to always find validation for things, or so yeah, definitely throat chakra is, I think, a lesson for this lifetime.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a question or anything that you wanted to go into further with any of that? You can go in any direction, really.
Just I recently had a naughty Indian palm leaf reading, and it was saying that I would find a teacher in this month, and that to help me develop my gifts, and that they would be from abroad. And they said a saint, which in their culture, he said it was unmarried and no children. And so I kind of just feel like I'm searching and looking, and feel like a weirdo ask, so are you married? Do you have children? I'm married, but it's for completely, yeah, not dating, right? Just trying to find the right teacher.
Okay, so I will speak to something that, because usually when people start to talk, there's just more that I'll see. So this is the response that's coming through for you. And when I'm connecting with this information or speaking, I'm connecting and listening to my higher self that's mediating any information that's coming through. And we all have a central pillar column connecting us to source center, earth center. And it seems that for my observation of when I'm looking into your sphere is um, we're seeing it right now as it's glowing like platinum white light to kind of re-engage the system, your system, re-engaging your system to lock in to your own highest self. The aspect of your throat chakra that's speaking through, saying I'm looking for to to express myself. I'm looking to take up space in the room, let myself shine, not shrink away. That alchemy will take place within you when you if you hear what I'm saying, like the teacher is within you. And when there's a little bit more trust of self in these hits that you're getting, because any confusion coming through with regard to maybe intuitive hits, third confusion comes from our third eye center, when when there isn't clarity, and when we can affirm that everything we have is within, then the proper quote, teacher will show. And honestly, we're all equals. Um, we're all learning from each other. We're all mirroring each other. This experience right now with her is mirroring something within every single one of you. Um, so I'm going to hand it back to you with what came up with that so we can keep going a little bit further.
That makes sense of yeah, kind of things that when you know
Mhm.
like, okay, I know everything is within me, everything. Yeah, I understand. Uh, I don't. I don't know that I have any other questions. I'm just kind of going nervous and blank right now.
Okay, that's fine.
Just tends to happen when I feel on the spot.
Yeah, I have a couple more questions for you, but we'll do it after. Yeah. Yeah.
So, Mary, as you're, and obviously that's super short interaction with her. You would
Mhm.
normally spend an hour with
Mhm.
someone.
Yeah.
As you're pausing and we're seeing you kind of bring this, okay, throat chakra, heart chakra, okay,
Mhm.
like what are you seeing inside?
Mhm.
What's happening in those moments?
Yeah, so when I'm seeing inside, because it can go so many different ways, like sometimes for some people it's a little more anatomical, and I don't make any medical or any claims like that, but it's just a matter of seeing into the holographic body. And so oftentimes it will point to certain, you could call it at times, like this is an example, if someone has some sort of etheric growth. So the etheric being the pre-manifest body, so the growth would be, let's say, mental emotional block, because the mental and emotional bodies interact with each other. So what you're thinking drives your emotions and vice versa. So if there's something that's been lodged in their soul, from past incarnations that hasn't been resolved and it's looking to be purified and cleared, it's being seen in that space. And it's, I'm sure a lot of people know it's like when things are in the liver, blocks over those organs, unresolved resentments or anger. So the other thing too is, um, when I'm seeing things, they're in spheres. Everything's in spheres. And what that means is that, for instance, if there's a song playing, like I had a client once and there was music playing in the room outside and there was a shape forming around their limbic system in their brain. And it was a very coherent shape because the person who was playing music outside of the room was a sound healer. So it was either 432 hertz or 528 hertz, forming a coherent sacred geometric structure. It wasn't flat, it was circling around the limbic system. And it told me this is creating coherence in the background of your clients, in the background. So it's not like they were even aware. Um, and then that's when I started to see driving in cars, you could see dissonant shapes forming around the limbic system. And why the limbic system? Because the limbic system is connected with our memories and our emotion. And that's why we're always hearing be very careful with what you're allowing yourself to listen to or what's being recorded. Because on another level, there's your body as a frequency ball begins to be affected by frequencies around you, or if they're being received by your auditory receptors. So I kind of just took a windy road, but I think I was trying to answer something you asked.
Well, Mary, thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you for sharing your gifts. Thank you for what you bring to the world. The world is a better place because of how you are helping people in this amazing multidimensional way. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for doing this. Thank you, guys.
All right. Well, our next guest is Keegan Brady. Where's Keegan? Keegan, come on up. Give Keegan a hand. Good to see you, my friend. Keegan's a big hug giver. So, Keegan, talk to us about I haven't told you who Keegan is. Keegan actually, 3+ years ago, I went to the very first sound bath I ever experienced was with Keegan at your place that you used to have up in Santa Ana.
Mhm.
And so Keegan is beyond just a sound healer. He is a spiritual guide as well. And, one of the interesting things about that night was I heard Keegan speaking in what in this kind of context is called light language. And he was going crazy. I was like, what is this crazy language this guy's speaking? And what was amazing for me was when I was 18 as a Christian, I started speaking in that context in tongues when I was 18. And I'd been speaking that for myself since that point in time, but I kind of had put it on the shelf because the different contexts that I had been in. I was a pastor for over a decade, and in those churches that I was a part of, it really wasn't kind of like the thing to do, right? It was a little freaky. And so Keegan's being freaky up there, and I was like,
Yeah.
dang, I can do this here. This is awesome. Permission granted. Yeah. Keegan, that should be your subtitle. My name is Keegan Brady. Permission granted. Like
yeah. Hey, we'll get into that for sure, right?
That's great. Okay, so Keegan is the co-founder of Inanna Healing, which is located in Laguna Beach. And in your swag bag are 3 different products, healing products from Inanna Healing. And so I'm so excited that they help sponsor the swag bags tonight. Tell us about what is Inanna Healing, what's the vision behind it, and maybe a little bit about the products that we have in the bags.
Yeah, absolutely. So first, I just want to say thank you. Thanks for having me here. Thanks for, allowing the expression that comes through me to be here. And it's a privilege and an honor, really. And like that's what Inanna Healing is. Inanna is the goddess. She comes from Sumerian times. I'm not attached to that lineage or those deities per se. But we picked her because she picked us. And when I say us, I mean my dear friend Jason that's here this evening that I grew up with, and my actual blood brother Dylan. And we're 3 guys, but we're 3 guys in service to the divine feminine, this Shakti energy, you see. And I'm just following direction. The portal that is Inanna, though, is at the end of the day, we are a spiritual technology company, and we help teach people spiritual sciences. And yeah, we're in the age, family. We're here, And spirituality or religion, or this many spiritual paths that there are, and science, they need each other. So we're in that time, we're in that age, and numerology, sacred geometry, all kinds of different practices and modalities, and honestly, languages of the universe started entering me. And I was set down on this path, and I have many languages and things that come out of me, and that's just part of my expression here. But in Inanna Healing, it's not even about the products. The products are going to change. The products are a way for you to interact with the technology that is inside of them, because inside of everything, it's about the process, how we curate, how we go about acquiring the materials, who we're working with. Are we working with people that are in the same mindset? Are we working with our community? Are we trying to help, achieve the same path together? So everything that goes into anything that we make at the base level, the intention is to bring people together, to help raise them up, expand our consciousness.
So you have a physical location in Laguna Beach. Mandy and I were there at the grand opening. It's an awesome space.
Thank you.
Right on PCH.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the hip district. That's what they call it. I
Hip
didn't make that up. It's
district.
called the hip district.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, the crazy thing is my dad's first job was Spigot Liquor, which is 2 doors down from where we are right now. So I didn't want a store. I didn't, but the universe said otherwise. And honestly, my dear friend Chasen was like, we're going to have a store. This was over a year ago. And I hold space, I do different things and sound healing of that nature, and different ceremonies. And really all we're doing is we're just sharing our lifestyle, and my deep intention really with Inanna is we want to set the bar. We want to have a certain precedence. We hope that people will go into creating whatever it is that they have to offer through the world from a certain place of it's a necessity. There's a lot of things that we can acquire. A lot of consumption is available at this time. There's so many different things that are available. Are they being created from a place of intent? Are they being created from a place of helping raise people up? Or are we just creating them for consumption and maybe some money on the side? Because it's just a side effect. Finances are just a side effect of being able to help connect people and help raise our vibration, really. And we have many cool products.
Can I grab your bag? Okay, so let's talk about just a few things that you have for us tonight.
Okay. Okay, cool. So yeah, I mean, this appears to be a candle. I mean, yeah, it could be a candle. These things appear to be some things, No, we could call these things all kinds of funny little names and all that, but it is really specific and intentful. Every single piece of product has a certain numerical sequence or number that coincides with the intention of what is inside the product. We have crystals that coincide with whatever the intention is, and we use certain essential oil. These products have essential oils in them that are naturally sourced. I work directly with the people that extract all of the oils. They have control of all of the herbs and everything that go into everything. So it's very tightly there's a strict process to go through everything. So I put all those things together, and inside the consumable products, except for this chocolate. So I'm talking about the candles. We have aura sprays. We have roll-ons. At the base level, we have plant-based plasma. So plasma is inside every living thing. It's in the bottom of the ocean. It's in plants. It's inside of our blood. And I put that in there along with gold, copper, silver, and in a microionized form and colloidal form, and ormus. And that's at the base of the products. And the reason for that is because our body can receive that information because it recognizes it. And it takes it right into the body to where it needs to go. And it's not even necessarily it's about the information that is inside of it. Because if we take a look around, especially when we're on this path, as we go on this path, we're called to crystals. We're called to certain essential oils. We're called to certain herbs. And what it is our consciousness remembering and interacting with these other states of consciousness around us and helping our body remember so we can come to a place of embodiment. And that's what we hope for, to come to a place of non-consumption and remember that you are the technology. This is it. Just a spark of remembrance to help remind you that we can embody these things as the grand vessels and archetypes that we are. It's just simply remembering. That's all.
I love it. Thank you. So Inanna Healing, obviously you guys can visit it in Laguna Beach, but they have a table here with more products on the left-hand side as you exit. So I'd really encourage you to stop by their table. And also maybe at the next event, like we could swap outfits. What do you think?
Hey, I mean, maybe. I'm just comfortable over here, you know.
I want to see you in this.
I mean,
I
but
wanna
like
see you in that.
you're way taller than me, though, you know.
Awesome. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Keegan.
thank
It's
you,
good to
everybody.
meet you.
Grazie. Thank you, family.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. All right. Well, our next guest this evening is a psychic medium. She is a life coach. She's a spiritual guide. She runs a nonprofit making a difference around the globe. She's a former therapist, and she teaches individuals how to activate their own psychic, their own intuitive abilities. I've been through 24 weeks of mediumship training that she has led, which just blew my mind. So I am so excited for you guys to meet and connect with Manna Dabholkar. Will you welcome her? Yeah. All right. Good to see you. There you go. Yeah, have a seat. All right. So, Manna, I want to
Yes.
hear about the earliest memory that you have of being able to connect with the unseen.
So much energy in this room, right? Yeah. So I was born in Bombay, India. I was raised in South Africa. And I come from a family that has mediumship lineage. So all the men on my mom's side of the family, or my grandfathers, uncles, were all mediums, never trained, super empaths. You know, we'll get together, family gatherings, and they'll cry as they get drunk. And my earliest memory is I was about 4 or 5 years old. And we are driving through the mountains. My dad's driving. And this is 1980s India, no car seats. Okay. So I was in the back seat. Just put the kids out there, right? And as we are driving through the mountains, there was a motorcycle that came by. And there were 2 men on it. The guy who was driving the motorcycle was not wearing a helmet. Once again, no safety. You know, it's India. It's
There's still
different.
no safety in India. I've been there. Yeah. There's like 8 people in one family on a
That's right.
motorcycle.
That's
Yeah.
right. Oh, you haven't seen the trains. But so they passed us by. They were going, they're speeding. And my dad said, this is not a place to speed. I mean, this is, you're in the mountains. About 15, 20 minutes later, we were at an accident site. And that motorcycle was, in an accident with a truck. And I believe both those men were on the road. And obviously, one of them was probably dead. Because as a 5-year-old, I was super interested in what's going on. The traffic had slowed down. And I peeked my head out to see what's going on. And there comes a spirit. And I'm 5, 6, I can barely speak. And the spirit says to me, can you reach out to my family? Let them know I'm okay. And I said to Mom, Mama, there's someone here. And she said, no, go back to sleep. So that was my earliest memory that I remember very clearly. And then things started happening for me since I was 5, 6, 7, 8. And every single time I said that to my mom, she would say, no, there is nothing there. Go back to sleep. And it's surprising to me because she came from a family of mediums, but I think she did not want us to do anything with that. So she kept me and my oldest sister, is also a medium, not trained, but a really good medium, away from psychic mediumship. So I didn't do anything about it. And I think this is a story of a lot of healers, right? You have it when you're 5 and 6, and then you shut it down. And then it comes right back in your face. And it did a few years later. Yeah.
And I'm always intrigued to hear that your mom actually gave you a gift after her passing. Did it come after her passing or before her passing?
So that's interesting. Yes. It's funny because I kind of realized that when I was talking to you on the podcast about my mom. So my mom had cancer for about 10 years. She struggled. And I've been a death educator, a death doula for about 17 years, but she was my first client. I was 18 and I got on the job training with my mom. I did all her stuff in the last 3 months before she passed. And in those last 3 months, David, she was saying things which someone with no training would be like, oh, she's, heavily medicated. She's probably seeing things. But I had this innate understanding of some things there that she sees and I cannot. Because she would just point fingers. She'll be like, they're here, they're here. And I'm like, who? And she's like, they're here to take me. So she would say those things in the last 3 months. And I've seen this over and over again when I do that doula work now, that people who come close to dying would often see their family members show up. So then she passes away and I'm leaving. I'm on my way back. And my dad handed me a book. And he said, this is a gift from your mom, and she wants you to read it. And the book was on mediumship. It was these two, a mom and dad who had lost their 21-year-old kid. And they became mediums. They studied to become mediums to speak with the sun. And I read the book back on the flight, and I was like, interesting, that she would actually give me that book. But that was my first realization that I could not, I could not avoid it anymore.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What is happening spiritually, scientifically, however you want to describe it, as you are connecting with dead people?
They don't like that.
I know you don't like me to
They
call
don't.
them that.
Yeah, they
Yes.
don't like dead people, post-material bodies. They get really insulted because they're not dead. The best way for me to explain that would be, think about a cube of ice, right? So our cube of ice is what? Mass, form of energy, just like us. Apply some heat, it goes from mass to liquid. So it became water. Apply some more heat, and now it's what? Steam. Disappears. Do you think it really disappeared? Where is it? Why can't you see it? Well, that's what happens with our loved ones. They just go from one form of energy, which would be mass, to non-mass. And what's the saddest thing to me as a medium, as a death doula, is in the hospital room, when someone passes away, the family would hold their hands and speak with them. And the minute they pass, they look around and start talking about them. And they're still in the room and they can hear you. And they're like, excuse me, that's rude. You were just talking to me. So it's sad because to me, imagine like this room over here. We decide as a group that anyone who is over 90 years old, we will just avoid them, ignore them. That would be terrible. That's what we do to our loved ones. Just because we cannot see them, we decide that they don't exist.
So would you say then that there are non-material bodies, is that the right word? Okay, non-material bodies here in this room with us right now?
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Do you guys sense them? They're like, yes.
Would you help us connect with some of them?
Should I? Okay. So because we are so many people in this room, when I open my office door, it's going to be chaos on the other side. Okay. So what I'm going to do is let's do a lottery system. Okay, I'll bring in the first two spirits that walk in. Okay.
Man, that one looked real.
Not including her. So I'll bring in 2 spirits or 2 spirit families. We'll see how they show up. Okay. But it's really important that everyone is in their bodies, because when I go fast, you may miss it. Okay. So make sure that you take a nice deep breath, breathe out. And if you want to just place your feet, see, I'm not wearing my shoes for that reason. Place your feet on the floor so you're nice and grounded. Yeah. Let's ground all that energy before Robert comes in. Okay, good. So the way this will work is I'll bring in 2 spirits, and if anyone resonates with that, you have to raise your hand and say, that's my family. If you do that, don't lie, be honest, okay? If you do that, I have a gift for you. Okay. And if you don't say that, then I'll just take the gift with me. Okay. So let's do this. Okay. So I have a male spirit walking in. He's dancing in. Okay, he probably loved to dance. Someone who is a dad, a grandfather, a great-grandfather, someone who had a big family, passed away in their 90s, and this person came in with a huge hat. Okay, and they have these shoes that look like horse riding shoes to me. I'm getting a name. I was trying to see if I can write it. Romaldo? Anyone? Romaldo? Dad? I would place him around 5 years of passing, 5, 6 years. Yeah. What is 23? Is it 23, 2 and 3? Any significance to the number 2, 3? Kids, grandkids, great-grandkids, big family? Yeah. Did he do something with food, farming, restaurants, food?
Yeah. He opened a restaurant with my mom. Was a Mexican restaurant. He also started riding horses. We rode horses when he was young in Texas and livestock. And you didn't ride horses till you got older. As I dressed up, it was kind of like his fantasy to be this horseman.
Oh, no wonder the shoes. There's a woman. There are actually 3 more people with him. I think it's the same family. The woman seems to be their sister or a wife. I'm getting someone who has passed away before him. Maybe a Suzanne or Susie or Susanna. Susanna. So that'll be your mom. Susanna. And then there is a do you know a Carla?
I am Car.
Carla or Clara? Carla or Clara?
That would be his mom.
Clara would be his mom.
My grandmother, who I never met. Or I was very, very little.
And who is Juan Juan? It's okay, you don't have to know.
No, I have an uncle.
They'll be very insulted that you don't know them.
But I'm thinking his uncle is Austin, I know as.
So that's one family. Great job. Okay. I have another person walking in. I don't think it's the same family. I'll just do 2 more if you don't mind. Because they're pushing to the door. If you think this is wild, you got to see what's going on the other side. There's a male figure, could be dad, stepdad, could be father-in-law, someone who fits that role in your life. This person is showing up in U.S. military uniform. I don't know if it's military, Navy. I'm sorry, I'm too bad with that. But he served and he is so proud. He's showing me his medals. Long service to our country. And married to, I think the wife is still with us, but could be a Charles, who was served.
That's totally me.
Who was that?
He's my
Father-in-law. And the wife still with us? Is something's going on with her health?
I don't know. I'd have to check in with her.
Okay, something with the dental. Janet?
Yeah.
There are dogs with him. So I see like 3 dog spirits. Is he a dog person?
Yes.
Yeah. And then there's one more that I must give because this woman has to give this message to her family. There is a grandma walking in and she's so worried about her husband. I think her husband's still with us. Her name is Betty, Betty. And this is someone who's passed away for perhaps 20, 25 years. But she is here because her husband, Robert, either has dementia or is going through health issues or memory issues. Is there anyone with a grandma and a grandfather, Robert, who's still with us? Grandpa?
Yeah, Robert.
Is he dementia?
Yeah.
She wants you to know she's around. So when it's time, it's not time yet. But when it's time, she'll be there. Yeah. Do you know someone named Elizabeth?
That's Eddie.
There's another woman with her. Maybe I'm confusing that there's a female who may have passed a few years after your grandma.
My other grandma.
Same names? Okay, they're together holding hands.
Thank you.
Yeah, she's here. And she's holding you. And she'll be with him when it's time. Doesn't mean it's time though. But he is checked out in and out of his body. So many times we'll see people with dementia show up. He's not showing up yet, but she is worried that he has advanced stages of dementia. And yeah. Thank you. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So now we have what, 3? How many did I do? I don't even know. I had one more.
Go
I don't have
ahead.
time. But I don't have many gifts. I just have 2 gifts. But I'm planning for this. But I have to give this because this couple is really proud of their daughter. The daughter is probably here. I'm getting a Vincent George. Anyone? Vincent and George could be 2 names or it could be 1 name. No one? No one claiming that one? Okay, we can just push them away. Okay, sorry.
Whoa. I told Manna the first time that I saw this experience, I was like, you're so normal and ordinary. You should make this weirder, like wear some like ale or something, or, like just make it weird, So, is that a Vincent George? We'll do that later. Yeah. So, Manna, what is happening inside of you, like as this is all occurring? Like, describe to us what's happening. You said office. You stepped into you opened your door of your office. What's happening?
It's really just calming your mind. It's that simple. And I think we are running behind things all the time. So we miss those symbols. I think of our body as your house, right? And the spirit lives in it. Imagine if you're receiving a FedEx delivery and you're not home. You're going to miss it. So because we are not checked into our bodies, our spirit's like, Baba, your body's filled with complexity. There's so much pain, suffering. Your mind is running constantly. The spirit does not want to be in it. So if your higher self, your spirit's not in your body, every time you receive an intuitive message, you're going to miss it. So I think step number 1 for everyone, and anyone can be a medium, guys. I think that's probably what I want to put out here today is what I just did, anyone can do it. And this is one reason I do a lot of readings, but they don't bring me satisfaction as much as teaching mediumship does. Because I know within 3 or 4 weeks, you can do it. You would never have to see a medium. Look at this guy. I haven't seen him. Since he took my classes, I don't see him because he can do what I do. And that's what I would want for every one of you is if you really miss your loved ones, you can speak with them yourself. You don't need a psychic and a medium. You just need a few weeks and invest in knowing how to do it. Okay, there's very structured steps to get to that point where you can speak with spirits. And we have some mediums in this room who have studied with us, and they'll tell you it doesn't matter what your background is. It's science, and you are going to arrive in the same place as every other medium does.
Thank you so much, Manna. It's great to be with you. Yeah. Well, our next guest is a serial entrepreneur. He is a polymath, which, if you don't want to know what that means, it doesn't mean he's like really good at math. Okay, I'm just telling you, all right? Although he is really good at math, but that's not what it means. It means he's like just really good at lots of stuff. He is a prolific inventor, and he's also just honestly a genius and I'm just going to read these areas where he's a thought leader: medical technology, cryptography, sacred geometry, mathematics, and music theory, and probably lots of other things. I found out this week that he's also his own barber. It's a good-looking haircut over there. That could be his next course: how to cut your own hair. Yeah. And how to look like one of the 3 Musketeers, hot and sexy. I'm just saying. All right. Hey, he's also the host of Code X on Gaia, and I want you to get a little flavor of what that is all about.
The world is now on the brink of change as we enter a new age that we'll be discovering and working on together throughout the course of this series. I'm Robert Grant, and this is Codex. I've had the opportunity to visit over 140 different countries. But when I went to Egypt and started traveling to all the ancient sites, I couldn't help but notice the numerous patterns that were left behind by the architects and builders in living stone. In 2019, I took a group to Egypt following the inscriptions left to us by Leonardo da Vinci, embedded inside the Vitruvian Man, as well as the La Belle Ferronnière, the portrait of Anne Boleyn, the mother of Queen Elizabeth I, as well as the Last Supper itself. We realized on that trip that the Last Supper was a working map of the King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid of Giza. And we discovered, while there, 8 new stone reliefs in the actual King's Chamber itself.
Will you give a warm welcome to Robert Edward Grant? Yeah, good to see you, man. Good to be here. Well, we're definitely going to dive into your work tonight.
Okay.
But I want to hear a bit about your story, how you awoke to consciousness, mindfulness, spirituality. Did you grow up in some home that had faith or spirituality, or did that come later in life?
I always felt like this affinity, I guess, and I felt like there was more to life than what I was living, even from probably around the time that I was 3 or 4 years old. But, and then I had other moments in time where I had like deep and important spiritual experiences that I can look back on now. I didn't understand how the dots connected until I could see them in the retrospect. And one of them was when I was 11 years old. I lived in a place called Rendlesham Forest in 1980, which there's a famous, very well-known UFO incident that happened there. It was in my backyard. And my father was in the Air Force. He was at Brentwater Air Force Base right there. And so from that moment in time, I started getting all kinds of strange experiences, I guess, throughout my whole life. But I ended up meeting a girl in high school, and every major life change came, I think, because I started with that sentence. And she was the homecoming queen. She was Mormon, so I ended up joining the Mormon church. And next thing I know, I find myself in Seoul in Korea. And I was a Mormon missionary for 2 years. And it was a great experience. I have no regrets having done it, but I'm no longer in the Mormon church, but I definitely learned a lot through the process of that. And that also in many ways got me deep into scripture, got me deep into studying world religions, because I had to learn all the different religions. And I was always fascinated by it, but it wasn't probably until around 2010 that I had my real spiritual awakening, 2010, 2011, maybe even as early as 2008. I started noticing that a lot of the experience I was having in my outer world were just mirroring what was happening in my inner world. And I started noticing also that strangely, the things that I had been judging, both in myself and the outer world, were basically just coming back to me over and over and over again. And that was when I started asking, instead of asking the question of why did something happen to me, I started asking, why did I choose this?
Mm-hmm. A bit about your work. I know I have heard you speak about math in a way that someone would talk about their favorite movie or their favorite television show. I mean, it's like, you're just like, yes, numbers just flow out of your mouth. And for a lot of us, math is a little cold, maybe analytical, maybe, I don't want to be offensive, but boring, right? Okay. That was the subject in high school. That was the only subject in high school I got B's in. All right. So math has been my downfall. I guess I would say, what moment did you realize that numbers were more than just numbers for you? Like when there was a deeper meaning for you in numbers and mathematics?
Well, first I'll just say that I think a lot of people have had some bad experiences with the way they learn mathematics. Because I think mathematics is taught without meaning. And everything in the scientific method and everything in science in general is leading us away from pattern, leading us away from some sort of higher consciousness that might actually be putting it all together. And so because of that, we learn math without meaning, and math without meaning is just information. That's why it's so hard to learn. But when you realize that not only is there meaning behind it, but when we finally understand the meaning behind it, that it's connected to everything, that it becomes a language that basically ties and connects literally everything, then you start thinking, well, wait a minute. So geometry is just the music we experience with our eyes, right? And you start realizing that, wait, the left temporal lobe is where I process mathematics, but the right for people that are right-handed, but the right temporal lobe is where I process music. It's just a mirror reflection. And geometry is right in the center. And then you start realizing, but wait, isn't music just the basis of chemistry? Yes. And then that means it's just, the way that we experience mathematics through our ears. So all of this, then biology and everything else basically connects into one whole. because applied mathematics is geometry, applied geometry is physics, applied physics is chemistry, applied chemistry is biology, applied biology is psychology, applied psychology is sociology, and applied sociology is philosophy, and applied philosophy is mathematics. All of it is one whole. And we're being taught that it's all separate. So I think if we start learning from the context that it's all part of the same language, and whose language is it? Source creator's language. So it's a beautiful language, and we finally understand the meaning of math. It becomes divine communication.
I want to help us. Yeah, right? I'm like, okay. So basically what you're saying is math is cool. All right.
Math is definitely cool.
Okay. All right.
And by the way, it's definitely showing up everywhere now.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't noticed, like you go to a restaurant, it's become very popular to have lighting that's all geometric, platonic solids, for example. Like you might see an icosahedron-shaped lantern, or you might see a dodecahedral-shaped lantern. We're seeing this stuff showing up everywhere in hotel lobbies because it's part of the consciousness that's raising right now of everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's beautiful to me.
One of the things that I definitely am so attracted to your work is that you see things that other people don't see. And then you make connections that other people perhaps don't make. And that's a lot of what Code X is about. If you guys are not familiar with Gaia, it's like a Netflix of like spiritual conscious content. I want to help us see through your eyes a bit tonight, some things. And so I've prepared some images. And so the first image is of the Giza Plateau, right? You've been here many times.
Many.
Oh, when you go there, what do you feel? What do you sense?
Well, I could tell you the first time I went, I was there on a trip with a friend of mine, Nassim Haramein, who's a physicist. And I just had been waiting my whole life. I'd already been to over 100, 30 countries around that time, but I'd never been to Egypt because I was supposed to go to Egypt on a special trip in 2010. And then there was like this whole bus of Germans that got massacred in this bizarre type of, terrorist attack. And so then I had to cancel the trip at that time, and I hadn't gotten a chance to go, but I ended up going exactly at the right time for me. And all of you at some point in time will probably feel some calling to go to Egypt. And I think it's something that's actually part of your DNA. It just somehow gets into you, and you don't just go once. You end up going many times. And that was my experience. So I went there, and just the awe of looking at the Great Pyramid, I was like, and I'd already done a ton of research on it. It already called me. I'd already done all the mathematical analysis of it. I understood all the math constants that were embedded within it. I already knew a lot about Egypt and about Egyptology as a result of just this interest that had, from the time of my awakening, had already started to be the precursor to my actual visit. So I had this amazing experience. And in fact, I'd watched this film on YouTube at some point, and it said that you go to Egypt and you might actually pass out. So I was like, okay, what's that going to be all about? And so this guy said, find this rock in the pyramid and you might connect with this rock. And so, of course, I see a rock. I see a big stone up on the pyramid, and I'm like, I'm going to go up there and touch the stone. And so you're not allowed to climb the pyramid, right? So police show up right around you in no time flat. There's this German couple went up once and climbed up there and went to the top and made love at the top of the pyramid, and they videotaped it, posted it on YouTube. And they got extradited back, thrown in jail. So now no one's allowed to go on the pyramid anymore because this one couple did this. But it is kind of a dangerous climb.
We can't have anything nice.
No, we can't have anything nice. We can't have anything nice. So basically I found this rock and I went up to touch this rock and nothing happened. I was like, well, probably a good idea because I'm on the side of this pyramid and I'd probably gone up like 30 or 40 feet. And I thought if I did pass out, it might not be good anyway. Like I'd fall down the side of the pyramid or something. But then later that day, we went to Saqqara, which has these 24 sarcophagi, right, that are huge. Each one of them weighs between 80 and 100 tons, and no one knows how they got them down into this, cavern area. And the energy was so strong in there. It was amazing. And this woman came up to me, and I don't think I've ever told this story publicly. So this woman came up to me and she says, oh, I'm a big follower of your work mathematically. And this is in 2017. And she said, She said, I'm a shapeshifter. And I knew this trip was going to be wild. It was with Nassim Haramein after all. So I was like, I think I'm going to meet some aliens or something. This is going to be wild. So she was wearing like a tank top, and she was only like 5 feet tall. She was super small. And she said, I can make my arms grow about 8 inches. So I'm like, okay, let's go. So she puts her arms out like this, and I'm not kidding you, they grew 8 inches right in front of me. Her skin stretched and everything. It was like something out of an 80s horror movie. And like her hand became like 3 fingers. And I was like, so I went to my assistant who was also on the trip, and I said, Victoria, I'm like, you got to check this out. I start walking around, and the energy in the Serapeum, where those sarcophagi are, is so strong that literally that and the energy in that place, I was just boom, out. So I'm out for 5 minutes. I'm out. I wake up, and the Sim's pouring water on my face, and someone's got an electric fan, and this woman's on top of me, straddling me, like literally straddling me and speaking light language. And I come to, and I'm like, what the heck? And she's like, and there was another woman who was on the trip, and she's like, let go of his solar plexus, release his solar plexus. And I was like,
in the name of Jesus.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. She's like, he's married. Get off of him. I was like, what the heck is this? So I wake up to this, and then people are asking me, it's like, what was that device that guy had over your face? I'm like, it was just a fan. It was like that. It was wild. I'm telling you, it was so wild. But later that week, we went inside the Great Pyramid, and I'd given a lecture there on math as, a language of the universe. It was supposed to be 2 hours. It went for 4 hours, and people were crying at the end. I'm like, I expected them to be crying, but from boredom. And they were crying because they had a spiritual experience from learning the language of math. And I was like stunned by that. And that night we went into the Great Pyramid, and afterwards I was laying on the rocks outside of on the Giza Plateau, right in front of the Great Pyramid. We were looking up at the stars. There were about 50 of us laying out there. There was still a whole group, because there was like 175 of us on the trip. There was a whole group that was still in the pyramid. We could still hear them, because the pyramid's like a giant speaker. We could literally hear them Om chanting outside the pyramid. It's a 13-acre structure, right? Because it's literally resonating like that. And I look up, and I'm like, oh, look at the stars. And I'm like, those aren't stars. There are 75 ships on top of us doing formations. And none of us were on drugs. Well, maybe 1 or 2, but I was not one of them. And I'm telling you, that night I was visited by Arcturians, and the rest became history. I went back 6-7 months later. I knew I was going to discover something, and that's when I discovered the Alpha Omega on the rim of the sarcophagus. I'd been drawing it all week in my notebooks, and I knew at that moment, because the way I discovered it was I remembered being there when it was placed there, and I knew exactly where to look for it. And it was like this memory, and I saw this blue-green light going over, like melting the sarcophagus, putting it in the rim at this exact location. And then I looked, and one of my friends was laying in the sarcophagus, Om chanting, and then I looked at the exact spot where it was, and there it was. And I was like, and I knew enough to know that there's no writing and stuff in the pyramid, that there's, very, very little information that we can glean from the builders as to what the purpose of the pyramid was.
Mm-hmm.
So that was that moment.
Okay, so there have been some recent developments that have been breaking news in the last month or so, and these scans have come out called the synthetic aperture radar, the SAR tomography, right? It looks like this. I don't know if any of you have seen this online. There's a big press conference about a month ago, and here are some renderings that people have made. And these scans are scanning under which pyramid?
Khafre, the second pyramid.
And what are we looking at? What are they proposing is happening underneath the pyramid?
So synthetic aperture radar is a radar that uses satellites to send pings into the Earth. And what it does is it it measures the echoes that come back from the earth. This has been used in a way that's like optical coherence tomography, which is an area that I have some expertise in. I've developed some technologies related to. We use it to scan the retina to see the thickness of a retina without having to actually go inside the eye. MRI is not really perfect enough to be able to see that. And to have an MRI to do that, very, very expensive. So we would use it to measure the thickness of retina so we could figure out exactly how much glaucoma someone's suffering from, or what challenges they've got, like age-related macular degeneration, which you might have a big proliferation of blood vessels in the back of the eye. And so they've figured out a way to advance this technology to use it in this way as a ground penetrating radar. It's totally new. So no one's really done this before. This is a totally new thing. I know NASA was starting to work in this area too, and they're trying to work on it in the new Da Vinci program to go to Venus and send a probe to Venus. And what's interesting about this is that they showed that there were up to 2 kilometers of pillars that go beneath the Khafre pyramid, the second pyramid on the Giza Plateau. And also it looks like they have some sort of structure going around the outside of them. Looks to be like some sort of spiral, almost like a spring, but they don't know exactly what it is. The way that it comes back like this, and it tells you there is something there. We don't know what that something is per se, but there has to be something there because this is based on the differential. They measure these minute differences between regular dirt and bedrock, right? And limestone and granite and everything else. And those minute differences show up on the scan. And then at the very base of this as well, they have these 2 very large cube-shaped caverns that could literally fit 64,000 people in each of them.
Amazing. Now, a little over a year and a half ago, you brought to the attention a drawing by Da Vinci that has some similarity. Talk to us about this drawing on the left. When was it made by Da Vinci, and what do you think is happening in the drawing?
Well, we don't have a date, but this is called Folio 134 that's in Codex Atlanticus. And I'd already found that Da Vinci, there is and we'll come back to it in a little bit, but there's a letter that Da Vinci wrote that was a letter to the Lieutenant Devedar of the Sultan of Cairo, Babylon. The original name of Cairo was not Cairo, it was Babylon. And today, there's still, the old town of Cairo is still called Babylon. So that's an important thing. Put a pin in that because I just posted about this today, that they're now saying that if there was ever a Garden of Eden, it would have been actually in Egypt. So this was a peer-reviewed journal article that came out in the Journal of Archaeological Discovery that basically is now asserting that the Garden of Eden would have had to have been in Egypt. But having said that, what I noticed was that I was flipping through the pages and I already found several of these paintings from the time Da Vinci was in Egypt from 1482, late 1482 until late 1486. And these are the exact same years that Da Vinci was missing from all Italian history. He was famous his entire life. So if you read Walter Isaacson's book, the biography about Leonardo da Vinci, he talks about the missing years. Nobody knows where he went. Well, actually, Da Vinci said where he was but no one believed it. He said he went on this, trek. In this letter he wrote to the Cairo, the Sultan, or the Lieutenant Devedar of the Sultan of Cairo. So why would he be writing a letter to the Sultan of Cairo? In it, he talks about having gone to survey the great Mount Taurus. The Mount Taurus is actually a reference to the Great Pyramid, because the original name of the Great Pyramid was Bull Mountain. And the Giza Plateau was not called Giza, it was called Rostau. Egyptian is read from right to left. What is Rostau backwards? Taurus. Okay, and he talks about 3 peaks on these mountains, and they're covered with limestone, and they're perfectly oriented north. He's talking about the pyramid complex. And all of the references that he put in there are all encrypted, because back in those days, you had to encrypt all of your letters. So what I found was that all his paintings are encrypted with Egyptological information, esoteric mysticism, right? And the stuff like Kabbalistic. And every painting from 1486 onward and illustration is tied to this Egypt story.
So this image here on the left, What is
Khafre Pyramid. So the second pyramid, I had not found this until about a year ago, flipping through my book, Codex Atlanticus, and I find folio 134, and I notice immediately, I'm like, wait a minute, that's not just any angle. That's exactly Khafre Pyramid's angle, which is 3/4, 3 being 1/2 the base and the height being 4. That proportion is actually what we call the inverted relationship of a perfect fourth in music. It would be like C to F in music. And all the pyramids on Giza make musical notes. And that's what determines their exact slope angle, right? So the slope angle is based on the height proportion versus the 1/2 base proportion, or the right triangle within it. And what I mapped all of that and found was that it's all a musical scale, the entire thing. So the 3 pyramids on Giza Plateau actually make this sound, but not, it's in our vision, right? So it's da, 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 da. I thought it was going to be da, 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 bum, bum. But it wasn't. So in looking at this, though, I went back after the story broke on the SAR scan by Biondi and Malanga and Armando May. And I wanted to go and look to see if Da Vinci had put anything inside this proportionality. Now, I'd already looked a year ago and found that the caverns that he put inside that pyramid in his drawing matched exactly the location of the real pyramid's actual caverns and like inner structures. And so I was like, and maybe some new spots that we didn't know about, because he did the same thing. He cryptid in the Vitruvian Man, the Great Pyramid, and missing chambers, or, unknown location chambers. So I went back this year, though, and looked back and said, I wonder if he put anything under the structure. And this is what he did. If you look at it, there are pylons that go down deep beneath the pyramid structure. And he wrote in there as well, the very first line, he was not supposed to have ever gone to Egypt, according to mainstream belief and art historians that all think he was gay. He wasn't gay, by the way, just so you know. And that's another thing that happens. We all see the world not as it is, but as we are. So when you have art historians who are gay that wanted to have a hero, right? There's nothing wrong with that. That's the way they want to basically do it or say it. They can. Yes, he experimented a few things, but he definitely was heterosexual too. So the point is, though, that if we look at this painting or this depiction, you can see pylons that go straight down. And more than that, the structure of that is in the shape of the Sephirot. The Sephirot is the tree of life. So it's literally 3 Sephirot that go straight down for 2 kilometers.
So now let's talk about, what's the transition, right? What's my transition? I want you guys to see some of the layers here. All right, so this is another depiction. I don't know if you guys have seen this online, of like a rendering of what the possibilities could be underneath based on the scans. So this room, right? You've been in this room many times.
Many.
Yeah.
I spent 20 nights in the Great Pyramid. 5 of them by myself.
So inside the King's Chamber, there are things that you see that maybe the average person doesn't see. And so there's connection that you had just referenced between Da Vinci's The Last Supper and the Vitruvian Man. I'd love to go through both of these paintings very briefly, because we've only got a few minutes. But if we look at this painting, overlaid on top of this painting is what?
Is the King's Chamber. So the King's Chamber, with the correct proportion associated with it, you just marry up the top from where the ceiling meets the back wall. It's a 2-to-1 rectangle, the room is, and the height from floor to ceiling is not a perfect cube shape, because it's taking the diagonal on the floor from the center point to the outer corner and then just popping that up and making it a height. So it's literally the proportions of the 2-to-1 rectangle. So it's telling us something about the 2-to-1 rectangles being really important. But I just noticed this as I was watching it on Codex Season 2. First of all, we found exactly in the spot where there is a eye of Ra that's in the pediment above Jesus, right? And by the way, the windowsill actually makes the name of God. So the shape of the windowsill, and you could see the portion of the windowsill. On the right window is Yod, the middle one is Hey, and the other one is Vav on the left. It's just backwards. Yod-Heh-Vav is the name of God. Now, what's also interesting is you'll see the sarcophagus fits perfectly inside that little portal thing that's covering up the feet of Jesus too, which is kind of a strange thing that's kind of conspicuously out of place, right? And then also notice that the tapestries are lining up perfectly to the actual blocks in the room, as well as the table itself in perfect perspective with the blocks of the room. So this is fascinating. So it's already been well known that the Last Supper painting is encoding the astrological symbols. The 12 apostles are associated with the astrological symbols, the zodiac, just as the 12 tribes of Israel were associated with the astrological symbols. All of the encampment at the tabernacle were all the flags of all of the different zodiac signs. So why is that? Well, maybe because the Ark of the Covenant at one time was in the sarcophagus. It fits perfectly inside of it. That's what I believe it is. But on the back wall of the King's Chamber, in the exact same spot where the Last Supper painting has the pediment that's shaped like the Eye of Ra, you can see the faint outline of an Eye of Ra. It's been scrubbed off. The walls have literally been scrubbed, and they're scrubbed often. They think they're cleaning it like a bathroom. When COVID hit, they literally were scrubbing the whole pyramid. And they didn't realize they're literally damaging it all the time. So, but it wasn't just that. We found the bull and the calf. Also, on the right wall, you can find the exact same thing. And if you watch Codex, you can find all of this. But on the right wall, it's the position of Taurus. Now, why is the room shaped like a 2-to-1 rectangle? Because it's telling us about the 4 North Star positions. Maybe you could just play this part of the video real quick. It's telling us about the 4 North Star positions. As we look into the night sky, we'll notice that all 4 of those stars together take the orientation of a 2-to-1 rectangle matching that of the King's Chamber. We'll also note that the original position of the sarcophagus, we strongly believe to have been the center of this room. You can see the chip marks in the floor where they lifted it out. Because even the Orion constellation itself takes on the same 2-to-1 rectangular form and shape, with the 3 belt stars exactly being framed by the proportional structure of the sarcophagus. What was in the sarcophagus still remains a mystery. Some believe this might actually be the place where the Ark of the Covenant was held before Moses took it out, and the astronomical symbols of the zodiac all being prominent flags and standards represented by the children of Israel in the encampment of the tabernacle, each representing the 4 faces of the 4 walls. The face of a man, the face of an ox, the face of a lion, and the face of an eagle. These are the 4 faces represented in the book of Ezekiel for the children of Israel and their encampment. Is the King's Chamber telling us something more? That if the sarcophagus is in the right position at its center point, covering the 3 belt stars, and we look around the room with each block having a different X, Y, Z axis, and each having a different constellation associated and tied to it, the 144 blocks tying together to the 48 constellations, we have to ask ourselves the question, is the King's Chamber a stargate? I believe it's a spiritual ascension stargate. The Great Pyramid, a lot of people say, oh, it's a power plant. It's a musical instrument. It's a place of burial, right? And maybe metaphorically, it's death, burial, and resurrection. Is it, a place of whatever else? The last thing I don't believe it is a place for pharaohs and mummies, and I don't think they ever found any mummies in them. It looks more modern, the pyramid does, on the inside than anything you would imagine to be several thousands of years old. It literally looks like it's built in the future. So that's why it's been so enigmatic for us. I believe all of those answers, save the one about the mummies, are correct. It's like What we're learning throughout this time right now is that everything we've learned is, we think it's fact, but actually it's more facet than fact. And just as people will argue about 432 hertz or 528 hertz, they're actually part of the same scale with a 24-note scale. And that's the 24-note scale that was used by the Egyptians, the 24-note scale that was used by the Arabs, this 24-note scale was used by the Indians. And when you understand that, then all these different discrepancies, whether it's Vedic, right? The Vedic mathematicians would say, okay, well, we're in the sidereal right now, but then the tropical astrologers would say, no, we're in tropical, but actually both are correct. Once you realize your movement and your transit into your north node, then your transits become the sidereal transits. So all of this is united. What we're learning right now is all these different facets that we think are totally separate are just different facets of perception.
Mm-hmm. Encourage you guys to check out Code X on Gaia. Yeah. So there's 2 seasons out.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on with season 3?
We're going to be starting it pretty soon again. I'm actually on the board of directors of Gaia as well. I'm the only talent person that's on their board now, and I'm excited to be on it. So I'll be spending more time with the company and everything. But, I think the big message here, and what's the big aha of all of this, the pyramid is also acting like a clock. It's telling us about our 24,000 year cycle, and it's time for our awakening. It's like an alarm clock for us all. And it's telling us also about the cycle of death, burial, and resurrection for humanity as a macro cycle. It's not just for us as individuals. It's also about our own hero's journey path. And that's what Orion in the center of it represents. We're traveling through the zodiac. Time is both going forward and backwards at the same time. And the whole purpose of us to be here is just to learn how to love and how to be loved. And it's all about these emotions. We're here to feel. The only thing that's real in this world is what we feel. So just feel and realize there are no mistakes, and you have a reason for being here, and we all have a purpose. The one divides itself into the many simply for the joy of observing itself through our unique eyes of perception.
Thank you so much, Robert. You guys give him a hand. Yes. Thank you. Hi, Livia.
Hello.
All right. Good to see you. All right. Can you hear me okay, Olivia?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. So I want you to see, we got about 100 people here in this room. They're all say hello.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
All right, wonderful. Well, Livia Devi is a New Earth leader. She is a channel of the 7D Arcturian Council of Light. And Mandy and I have had a chance to spend some time with her, and she is just an incredible human being. She's been even coaching me on my own journey of having channeling kind of come through my life. And so Livia was supposed to be with us here when we were first starting this event. She has been living in Ireland. She is from Romania. She's had some health issues where the doctor said, hey, let's hold off on some international travel for the next 6 months or so. And so she has been so gracious to be with us at 6:30 a.m. in Romania. So thank you so much, Livia. Yeah,
Thank
it's
you
great
so
to be
much
with you.
for having me here. Yes, I would have loved to be there in person, but it's good that I can actually tune in and be with you all right here, right now. Yeah.
I love
Thank
that.
you, David.
Okay, so take me back to, it was 2016. All right, you're living in Ireland and you're working in corporate, and it's 6 a.m. You're getting ready to jump into a meeting. You're at your home, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes,
What
exactly.
happened in 2016?
Well, in 2016, it was the moment where I was activated by the Sirius Council of Light. So at 6 o'clock in the morning, I opened my laptop to go online and connect with 25 people that I was managing. We had a project in Armenia at that time, and I fainted on the couch, and I woke up after 1 hour hearing millions of voices in my head, but not a very clear message. There was like a lot of noise and a lot of excitement, if I can say like that. But was actually the collective consciousness. So I was plugged into the collective consciousness of planet Earth, and I was hearing everyone's thoughts and feelings and their mind. And this was the moment when my journey started. I was guided for 6 months by an earth angel, I can say, someone that it was an awakened human being. Also, he was a psychiatrist as well. He didn't do any psychiatric sessions with me. He was just introducing me to this new world that I was stepping into, the world of the awakened human beings that are able to tap into multiple dimensions. And after 6 months of, being in this process of restructuring, and actually my brain was restarted, the Sirius Council of Light was restarting my brain, my mind, is when I streamline all that chatter, all that noise into 4 voices, and was the Sirius Council of Light from Sirius B, the 70 Arcturian Council of Light, my higher self, and my ego that was trying to survive the experience of being suddenly awakened and suddenly connected with the stream of consciousness, the stream of consciousness that exists on planet Earth and other streams of consciousness from other civilizations. So it was a very powerful moment of transformation, David. And, it lasted after 6 months, after I had a 1 year training with the 12D Sirius Council of Light. So I immediately got activated into my power, my gifts, my abilities, my connection. And after 1 year of being completely trained, I was released into the world to serve other people. And this is what I'm doing since.
How did you know that it was the Sirius Council of Light who is guiding you and training you versus just some voice that you're making up in your head?
So their voices were very distinct, and the way I am hearing still, because now I'm able to trans-channel the Arcturian Council of Light. Sometimes I can't just channeling the Sirius Council of Light, but they have a very clear signature, energetic signature. That's how it's not only hearing them, it's feeling them, and their voice is very different, and the guidance is very advanced. So they were streaming to me information and knowledge that I didn't know, like something that I never read, I never experienced, I never heard. So it was also a journey of building a relationship, because I was, and I'm still am, a very practical, pragmatical person. So I like to, I ask logical questions. So I was questioning a lot, and they actually loved this critical mind, right? Like a critical way of thinking, because, I was asking a lot of questions, and we build a relationship the way, you meet a new person, a new friend, and you build a new relationship with. So it was a process of discovering and exploration and building trust for us to co-create together, and for us and for me also to surrender even more to the training and become, in 2017, I became a trans channel for the 70 Arcturian Council of Light.
For those who don't know, who is the Arcturian Council of Light? What does that even mean?
Yes. So let's start with who they are, and then what is the 7D, So the Arcturian Council of Light is an interdimensional civilization, and they are a collective consciousness connected with the planet Arcturus that is in Boots constellation. If you are looking on the map, you will find it in the, not the Google map, but the stellar map. You will find it. And they are working with the Arcturian civilization in the 5th dimension, and with other civilizations, including, human race, in helping and supporting, the evolution of consciousness. And especially, planet Earth is going through a massive transition and awakening right now. And other civilization went through this process before, like the Arcturians went through this process before. And them and other incredible civilizations are helping us, guiding us, and just being there for us through this massive process of transformation. Because awakening is not an easy process. It's actually very challenging, and can, take you through a lot of change and can shatter your reality, but in the in the end everything is rebuilding in a different way. And why 7D is because they are streaming from the 7th dimension. So we are in physical form in the 3rd dimension. Our consciousness is either on the 4th and the 5th dimension, so I'm bridging with them on the 4th dimension. So everything is streaming through the 4th dimensional bridge. And why me? Because there are so many other people on this planet doing channeling and trust channeling. And, I don't consider myself the chosen one. I don't like to put labels and identities on my work, because I feel like we all chose ourselves to actually incarnate on planet Earth and come together and do this massive mission of awakening and, bringing ourselves into a space of leading us and others, pioneering timelines for humanity. But why me and why this mission and why am I doing what I'm doing now is just because my consciousness is part of their consciousness. So I'm an Arcturian starseed. I am, coming from their civilization as an ambassador of light that are bringing teachings and technologies and frequencies. And, for many years, the civilizations try to make contact with us. And this is a very soft and easy way of making contact, through vessels of light or emissaries of light that had been incarnated on planet Earth, and to, co-create with the human race differently. So this is why I'm here and doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, thank you so much. What a beautiful explanation. Livia, would you be willing to share messages from the Arcturian Council of Light this evening?
Yes, I would love that. And the only thing, David, is they don't have a notion of our time and space. So you will need to leave my vessel when the time is up for them to leave. Otherwise, they will stay with you here until next morning. Okay?
All right, so I'll let you know, like, hey, a couple more minutes or something like that. Is that okay? Now, do I need to ask them a question, or are they ready to just like share with us what we need to hear?
Well, if you have questions, or anyone in the audience have questions for them, they will be very happy. Otherwise they will be sharing what they feel excited to. Yeah.
Okay, how about we just begin with what they're excited about?
Okay. So before we go there, let's just go into a space, because I need to go into a trance and it's just not happening just like that. We'll need a little bit of minutes of adjustment.
Yes.
Okay.
Everybody okay with that?
So I will take you all through a guided meditation. This will synchronize our heart consciousness and also will create a unified field. When they are transmitting to you, they are speaking to each and one of you together in the same time, okay? So I'm inviting you all to just close your eyes and bring yourself into a space of receiving. Inhale through your nostrils and out through your mouth. And with each breath you are taking in, just invite prana, life force energy, chi, into your hearts. With each breath you are taking in, just let yourself relax and surrender more and more. And now, with your permission, we'll activate your individual column of ascension, golden crystalline light energy from the gray central sun, streaming now through the stargate of our sun, through your all chakric system, and we will anchor into the 4th dimensional bridge. I now invite to join me in this space Council of Life from Arcturus, Council of Life from Sirius from the 12th dimension, Pleiadian constellation, 7 stars Maya, Vega constellation, Lyre, Andromeda Galactic Federation, and Star Nation, Starseed Alliances, Archangel Michael, Raphael, Uriel, Metatron, Zadkiel, Sandalphon, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, Kwani, and Isis. Please join us in this space and creating a vortex of light all around us, only high vibrational frequencies to connect to us now. I now ask permission from the spirits of this earth where I reside on this land to anchor Arcturian frequency in the core of the earth. I now ask permission from the spirits of the land where behind the lids is to anchor Arcturian frequency in the core of the earth through the earth grids. May today's transmission be for the highest good of our individual consciousnesses, for the highest good of the collective, for the highest good of all. I now ask the Arcturian Council of Light, my star family, to flow into my and here we are, dear ones. Council of Light from Arcturus, connecting to you in this time-space reality. We are pleased that we are allowed and invited in this co-creation. We are indeed riding your waves of excitement. And as you, dear David, asked Elva just now to speak what we are excited about, we are only excited of your projection of joy into the quantum realities. Every time we feel your blissful existence and how beautiful you all are in your non-physical expression, we would love to take a picture of you all and send it to each and one of you. Every time when you are sad or in doubt to understand the greatness of your being. There's nothing on your reality needs to affect you or disturb you. But we do understand the contrast you are experiencing and through which you are learning and evolving. And as we previously mentioned in other transmissions, you don't need to learn through hardships. There are so many light ships and easier, effortlessly ways of evolution. As your human kind is becoming more kind with yourself, you learn to let go of struggle and rise higher and lighter than ever before. And our light ships are always here to help you elevate into that awareness, into that divine love that you all are. 2025, this year of your linearity, is important for this rising to happen in alignment with your divine soul purpose. You cannot go in different directions anymore, in adjacent journeys. You are not here to seek, you are here to activate the mastery within. The seeking has to stop. Because when you are seeking yourself in projections of your physical reality, you are saying to everyone, including the universe, that you are not the highest expression of divine love. You don't know who you are. That there is a gap between you and yourself. So when you all are stepping into self-mastery, into activating the ascended master within, then you'll find that inner light, inner power, inner joy, and inner peace. When we say ascended masters, you on your planet created such a big gap and separation between you and who you are worshipping, or who you are looking up to, or who is on a pedestal. You are all ascended masters, not only the greater teachers of your humanity. You are all great teachers if you allow yourself to be. If you allow your inner light to shine. So when you release the gap between you and others, which is in the end the gap between you and yourself, then your light will shine bright into the world. This is to bring to you your angelic realm closer to your heart, and archangels and ascended masters, as they want to teach you once again that they are as ascended as you are. Dear beloved David, do you have a question for us today? In your day of great expansion and awakening.
Who has a question for the council? Nathan? Just say it. I'll translate. Share it with her. Livia, the question, council, I should say, what is the most impactful question that we could ask you right now?
The most impactful question is, how can I access more of my inner realities? Because, dear beloved ones, you are all living in the projection of one reality, and that is the collective reality. And we would like to see many of you choosing differently, not collectively anymore. Even now in this group, so many questions we were hearing in your mind. But only one voice was expressed. It's not because it's late and you are tired. It's because you are all thinking collectively. So when you access your inner realities, you are giving yourself the choice and possibility to see and feel and engage differently with your holographic field. You see, dear beloved ones, the morphogenetic structure of your collective reality creates a storyline for the evolution of your human race. And this is happening with other civilizations as well. But this is why this accelerated ascension, it is an individual experience, because as you are choosing differently as an individual, others will start choosing differently as well. It's like you have the courage to think different, and others, through the morphogenetic structure of the crystalline light, will find the courage within themselves to think differently as well. You are all interdependent, interconnected, interdimensional, interwoven within your multidimensional expression. So accessing your inner realities is not an act of rebellion. It's an act of coming out of the collective paradigm of thinking, feeling, and engaging. And we know that when you are awakening, you are coming out. You are opening your eyes to a new world that is in front of you, that you never saw before. But also within worlds are different streams of collective realities. We would love to see in each and one of you a deep awareness of how much of your thinking process is yours and how much is collectively imprinted. This will be a great exercise of awareness. If you would go in the morning into a meditation and see your existence, see your day, and watch your thoughts, observe them, how much of those thoughts are yours, and how much chatter is from the collective.
We have another question for you.
The only way you can do this is through the portal of your heart, because your mind is just a device that is recording your existence. I didn't hear you, dear David. What did you say to us?
We have another question. Is there a process that you can give us to tap into that daily?
Yes, we were starting now. We love your excitement. You immediately started to think differently now. We love that. Go into a meditation every morning. Why morning and not evening? Is because once you turn on the radio in the morning, you are able to connect with the frequency of your soul. It is the blank slate of creation. It's the blank canvas where you can write your new story. Then activate your column of ascension. If you don't know what that is a technology from our civilization. Elva can share it with you all freely. That technology is helping you anchor consciously into the earth of your preference, because when you are waking up in the morning, you are waking up to your multidimensional grid, not only to your one reality. It is one reality and your multidimensional grid in the same time, so you have the possibility to choose. And when you choose consciously, magic happens. Third step, connect to your heart. Meditate through the portal of your heart. How you can do that is when you go into a meditation and you are observing your thoughts to a point there are no thoughts passing through fast into your mind. This is in that stillness you are able to access the 0-point field and connect to your heart. This is when your mind and especially your pineal gland links with your heart consciousness. And that link is magical. And then start to bring your thinking process, if we can say that. Start you lower down your thinking through your heart. Did you ever experience how it is to perceive world through your heart and not through your mind? How it is to engage with the world through your heart. And when we say, dear ones, your heart is not only, I need to be kind now, I need to be a good person now, I need to be loved now. Some of you cannot be now all of these, but connecting through your heart is bringing awareness. Awareness is not created in your mind. Your mind is perceiving awareness. Awareness is coming from your heart. So connecting to the world through your heart consciousness means that you are an observer and an interactor, an active, conscious interactor with your reality. What does this mean? It means that you are connecting to the field through your heart and you say, consciousness, I am excited to create a reality for myself today that will bring me joy, happiness, abundance, miracles, and other desires you have. This is how I would like to receive. And I'm also open to other ways of co-creation. And you release the outcome of this because this is a divine dance.
Thank you, Council, for your wisdom this evening.
We know your time is up. We could stay here forever. In our perception and existence, there is no time, only love. It was indeed a great pleasure co-creating with you all. From the regions where we reside, we are sending you our love embrace. Feel it now. Namaste, dear ones.
Thank you so much, Livia. Livia, we're at the point where we're needing to wrap up this evening, but just really expressing our appreciation for your wisdom, for your service, for your channeling tonight. Thank you so much. It's great to be with you.
Thank you so much, beautiful ones. And I hope that you all have received from today's transmission what you needed to receive. And just trust the energetics that are working beyond words. Because one thing I want to say is that when the Arcturian Council is transmitting is 95% energy, 5% English or, communication through words. So thank you so much, David. It was a pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward to seeing you and everyone next time when I'm going to be in Los Angeles and especially in California.
Olivia, I wish you could feel like just the energy tonight in the room. I know it must feel so isolating being by yourself, but we just appreciate you so much. Thank you. Our next in-person Awaken Magazine event is on Sunday, June 29th. It's called High on Life, A Prescription for Bliss. It is with Melissa Minnick. She is flying here from Austin just for us for this event, all right? So she has a brand new book out that just came out this week called by the same name, High on Life, Prescription for Bliss. She is an incredible spiritual leader. She's absolutely amazing, and she'll be here for that 2-hour session. It'll be an interview format with just her. It'll be a guided meditation with her, and for $35 for the ticket, you also get her book. She'll sign it for you. It's going to be an incredible event. So tickets are available there at awakenmagazine.com/high-on-life. So tonight we have experienced a lot of different things, right? A lot of different wisdom, a lot of different experiences. My hope is that you will walk away and reflect on all of these amazing people, but more than anything, that somehow, as I mentioned in the beginning, that your awareness has been raised just a bit to the interconnectedness of everyone and everything, both of the seen and the unseen, and that you would also recognize without a shadow of a doubt that we live in a spiritual world, and that there are things that are happening around you, and that you are so powerful as spiritual beings. And I hope that you felt through the words of our incredible leaders and just through the transmission with the Arcturian Council, a deeper sense of the unconditional love that is flowing to you and through you and in you every single day from the divine, from source, from spirit, from the universe, from God. You are deeply loved. You are whole, you are complete, you are strong, you are courageous. And all of this love and all of this light that you have experienced tonight, may you take that with you out into all the places that you go and live and work, because our world needs it, right? Yeah, take it with you.